Hi everyone, it is Lori B. Grungy Girl Journals. I'm back to show you a flip through of this cute little French sweet sister journal. And in French, she translates to Douce. And I'm sure I'm not saying that right. And I know that I sound funny saying that. So I'm going to let you listen to Google and she says it correctly. So here she goes.
Douceur,
Do you hear that?
douceur,
So believe it or not, that is how you say sweet sister in French. And this is just a sweet little book. Actually, she's not so big. I mean, she's not so little. She started out, I wanted her to be a smaller book, but I enjoyed this journal so much that she grew and grew and grew. And although she's not a gator mouth, she's packed full of goodies. So I had mentioned in my other video, my previous video on how to how I age my paper, that this journal has a little bit of a meaning to me. And I got to thinking about it, and I don't want to, I don't, it's one of those stories that it could be sad. It is sad. But it is something, that pertains to my life and my family. So although it's kind of I don't know how to explain it. I got to thinking about how much I would have loved to have had a sister. The older I get, the more and more I feel that way. I have a brother who is younger than me, and we're not very close. He does live out of state, but I've always wanted a sister. And so the story goes that I was born in 1959, and in 1958, my mother had another girl, and she was born 6 weeks early. And if I remember the story correctly, her lungs weren't developed all the way, and she lived for a little bit, and she ended up passing away. But she was named Lisa Lynn. And so, it's just something that my mom didn't talk about it much. And I've seen old pictures at the cemetery and things like that. But, I think about her, and, how sweet it would have been to have a sweet sister. So this is really kind of like in that, in her honor, kind of. And to all the sweet sisters out there, whether you be related or not. So that's the story. So here is the journal, and I did do a wrap, and it's a snap closure, and it's actually a double snap closure in case she wants to get a little bigger. She's got room to grow. And I used Swiss dot tool. And I did just a little piece of artwork to, and the reason why I did it this way is because the front of this journal, the actual fabric and the wrap is so pretty that I wanted to be able to take this off and you get a whole new look on this journal. I probably should take this off this way. It is better for the journal if you take it off this way. Here we go. So here they are, and really was my kind of start point on this journal is I saw this this image, and I did manipulate it with some editing software, and retinted it. And I did some, some different mediums on there, like matte medium, and I did, some inking and things like that. A lot of distressing, and this is just on cardboard. And I added the, what do you call these? Rivets? Something like that. And, I just did my thing. And this is actually a piece of a top, a little tank shirt that I had, and I never wore it. It's that light denim chambray, I think it's called, with the pleating. And so there's a lot of texture on there. And that was a lot of fun to do. So this can be removed or added, but it is best if you do that the way I didn't, which is take the wrap off first. But I wanted you to see the wrap on the book. So let me just snap that back up. So here she is. And I did a bunch of messy stitching. These are cutouts from a digital that I got on Etsy. And a piece of doily. This is a piece of linen. And I just stitched it onto this napkin. The blue is a linen napkin. And then I stitched on the Swiss dot tool. Yeah, tool. And this is just a couple of appliques that I stitched together. You take this off. And I love this fabric. This is a linen fabric that I got. It was a sample on eBay. It was just a piece of, from a sample book. And I just got this one piece, and I love it. I have a little bit of it left. But I kind of wanted to make the flower stand out more. So I quilted it, or, really what that means is I just stitched around a lot of the areas on the fabric, and that kind of brings that out a little bit. And this one's not very thick, so I didn't get as much poofy. Some more messy doodle stitching right there. Here is some lace that I purchased and tea-dyed, and everything has been tea-dyed. This is a napkin, and it's, it's seen better days. And that wraps on around to the back. And ta-da! So you've got a pocket here. This is an Edwardian cuff from a lady's garment, I suppose. And I have two of them. And then I also have the collar, and it's super pretty. I didn't even need to tea stain that. Just a couple of photos here. These are digitals. Isn't it cute? Cute, cute, cute. And this is just a fabric and lace collage. And I kind of counted this as the first page of the book. Lots and lots of layering there. This is all hand stitched on. Rusty safety pin. And this is the corner piece of the napkin, of this napkin that I used underneath. Forgot to show you that. I love this blue. It's so pretty. And that keeps flipping over. There's not really anything I can do about it. Lots of doilies and different laces. Some of them I dyed. That pretty blue. Excuse me, I still have a lozenge in my mouth, so I'm trying not to smack. And then here's the back, and I put this on just to cover my work. You know, there was a lot of stitching on there. So this is, I got this at a thrift store, and it was a skirt. It's kind of like a chenille, sort of, but it was a skirt. Kind of like one of those poodle skirts from a long time ago. And then I just added a ribbon to kind of keep all the paper together. And while this is downloading, while this video is downloading, I will look up all the, I'll try to find all the digitals that I used in this book. Got a lot of inquiries about the blue paper in this book, and I will be sure to find that one, and I will list it in the description box below. And this is seam binding. It was a blue color, and I just tea stained it, and it turned just a little bit of a different blue, and it turned out a really pretty blue. And it says Mon cher ami. And please excuse my French. And I made 6 tags for this journal, and there's a little short video that I made for these. And although this took a good part of a week, all 6 of the tags, and that doesn't include the one I did on front, that took me a lot longer. But I did 6 actual tags, and these were a lot of fun. Just some stitching. This was part of a doily right here. And I tried to keep these pretty simple. And these are the photos that I tinted in the website. It's called PicMonkey, PicMonkey. It's a just a editing software or editing website. And here in this book, you can really see how I aged the papers. I wish you could feel them. They feel so good. It's just a receipt from a hotel. And this is from a book that was made in France, and it was an address book. And this is for the letter X, I think. Yes, X. It's like a peacock. And just did some embossing on handmade paper. Some inky paper that I did a couple years ago. And I love her. That's a digital. And this is a writing book. There's plenty of goodies in it, but there's so much room to write in this, and that was really important to me and I try to do that in all my books, is to have plenty of writing room. Kind of even it out, you know, have pretties in there, but also have enough room for your thoughts. And this is, it looks like student work. And I think the teacher liked it. James. Does that say James? Yes. James did a good job on his H's. And here's another tag. And this was the, on most of these tags, I used a big envelope. It was a big manila envelope. And it was kind of brittle. It did crack when it was bent, so I couldn't really use it for anything else. So I used it for these tags. Some sisters eating some ice cream, which is my favorite. And this feather just sticks right in there. And I had a convenient little hole down at the bottom, although it was not planned. But it just went right in there. So I said, okay, that's where you go. A couple little bits of ephemera right there. Some old music paper. Another receipt. That's a pretty one. It's a book page from a French novel. And this is a menu program. And you can write underneath. Right underneath. And this is kind of a throwback to the Georgie French journal that I did. I was writing in gold, and I was practicing to name her, and I just scribbled on the back, and there's blotches, and I ended up keeping that because I think it turned out really cool. So this is the page topper flippy thing that I did. And I showed me kind of putting this together at the end of the How I Age My Papers video. That just fits over the, and then there's the other side. And inside you can write a little secret note to your sister. I think I did that backwards, but it's okay. It can go either way. And this, I like the way this, you can see this up over the edge of the top of the book when it's closed. And I dyed some notebook paper there. And this is the part of the blue digital papers that everybody loved so much. And this is tea stained, and I believe I did it on parchment paper. It's an off-white parchment paper, And if you want to get that effect, that's the paper you should use, or you can use whatever paper you want to use. And this is a cute pocket. A little bit of ephemera. And some French flashcards: to smile, treasure, to remember. And I thought those were good little flashcards for sisters. And I used a little bit of, I used every single little bit of that Edwardian cuff. Didn't want to waste any. And that's a piece of tea-dyed linen. And here's a dresser scarf. And I believe it's, what do you call those, orchids? I love that picot edging. And these just tea stained up so pretty. This blue, I might have even put a little bit of, it is Tim Holtz Distressed Ink Spray in Weathered Wood. And I did these a while back, so I'm not quite sure how I did it, but I play a lot, so I had a very good outcome on that. And this is just a piece of newspaper, and I love that blue ink. Some doilies. There's two there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's a record. 7 doilies. I'm getting 7 doilies. These are really pretty. And yes, this is weathered wood. This is, I was playing that day and I had blue hands for days. There's another tag. And this was part of that envelope, and it had, the document style closure where you had the string, and this was the flap that flapped down, and then the bottom part had, and then you did the little circle 8 thing to close it. This is some of that Japanese writing paper that I love to use. And you got a silly sister and a serious sister. Although I bet she's acting like she's serious, but she's not really. She's acting like her sister's getting on her nerves, but I bet she's not. I bet she really loves her sister. It's a piece of, I don't know if that's a doily or I don't know what that was. But I just used the corner, and then I did a little tassel, but I didn't cut the bottoms. I thought it looked cute. Not cut. There's the back. I love it. And here is that piece of cardstock that I told you about in my previous video that I had done it on an inkjet printer a couple of years ago. I didn't know any better, and I stuck it in the tea stain because I print and then I tea stain, because my printer, it does not accept tea stained paper, and I'm sure I could iron it and maybe it would, but it's easy. And now that I have the laser printer, which I've had for a while, it's easier just to print them out and then tea stain them. But this was one that I did, and the inks ran, but it had a very neat effect, and I loved it, so I've always kept it. And this is the perfect journal to put it in. And this is an envelope. And there's the back side. And you can see I do a lot of this. This is masking tape. And I love that this book looks like it's been mended and well used and loved. And that just is an added age technique that I like to use. And what do I have in here? I don't even know. Oh, it's a map. Goes this way. Goes that way. And I guess that's all that's in there. Those doilies again. Another tag. So this was just a piece of frame. I don't know if you can tell, but she's kicking up her foot there. So some seam binding. And when I do this, when I stitch in anything in paper, I always add a little bit of glue around the edges so it'll not only stay in, but so it just gives it a little more strength. I love this one. This one didn't take me long. And here is that paper again. It's going to take me a while to find that Etsy seller. I bought it a while back, so I'll have to go through all of my purchases. So receipt. I had a story to tell you, and now I can't remember it. Darn it. Notre Dame, right? Yes. Here's another tag. Love this one too. And this is an envelope. It's falling apart. And I did glue that together and it just popped right back off. So I said, okay, that's the way you're going to be then. And this is just a little doodle. And this is actually a digital. Just a beautiful blue color. So I kind of imagine, you know, that sisters send each other things back and forth, and when they get it, they add it to their journal. And it's just a collection of memories and cute little things that they send back and forth to each other. You know, when I remember my story. Okay, when I was growing up, a very, very long time ago, I loved going through my grandmother's, their closets, their drawers, their dressers, and that's how both of my grandparents lived out of state. And so when we would take that trip up to Tennessee to see them, that's how I would spend basically my visit. would be in their stuff, I would go through every single time. I would go through the same drawers, the same closets, open the same boxes, look at the same jewelry. Oh, they're jewelry boxes. Yes, yes, yes. And I would find all sorts of treasures, you know, and it's the kind, I wanted this book to look like the kind of thing that you would pull off the top shelf of a closet, a cedar closet. And it would be one of those white gift boxes, you know, that were, you know, they're just plain white gift boxes that Grandpa's shirt came in, and, you know, wrapped in tissue. And, you know, you pull it off the shelf and you open it, and then you find this beautiful journal inside. And that's kind of how I imagine it is when I was little and I would go through all those boxes, and I looked at my grandmother's playing cards. She, you know, she played bridge, so she had all those little tally pads and photograph albums, and that's how I would spend my vacation basically growing up, was going through all that stuff, and I loved it. I always have, and I still have a love of that. So when I came upon junk journaling, which I bet a lot of people did during COVID-19, and I had found something on Pinterest, and it just kind of was one of those rabbit holes that led me to a journal, and I just fell in love with it. And I think I looked, you know, during COVID, I was a healthcare worker at a hospital. So I continued to work, but on my time off, I would, you know, I wasn't able to really go anywhere else, just like everybody. So I would get on YouTube, and I'd never really been on YouTube before as far as looking for something specific. But I looked it up and just this whole world opened up. And one of the first YouTubers that I started watching was Nick the Booksmith. And so many people love her, me included. Funny and just entertaining, and her books are so beautiful and well put together, and she does more than just books, and I highly recommend her. And you've probably already seen her, but man, oh man, she got me hooked. And I love her personality. And I watched her during COVID, man. She was my go-to. And then I got to know some people and started getting into the chats, and you know, my style kind of developed, and I still like all different styles. I like the newer looking journals. I love all of them, but this is just my favorite that I like to make, and I think it stems back from my childhood and my love of things old. So that was my way of putting, you know, my spin on it. And I've been doing it ever since, and I think it's safe to say that I'm a little bit obsessed with it. And that's a good thing, because I retired a couple of years ago, and this is how I spend my time, and I make a little bit of money so that I can get my supplies, which I have way too much of. And I consider it art. I really do. I think that junk journalers are artists. Just digital that I aged. Ooh, I just went on a little rant, didn't I? A rant. Wasn't really a rant. I just got excited. Which I will have a tendency to do when I talk about this sort of thing. And I'm just getting towards the back of the book. And this is a one signature. Oh, I got another feather in here. It's a twofer. It's another twofer. Get another feather. I forgot I put another one in here. And these are back from my jewelry days. And I have a whole book of them. You know, like a photo album. And you know, the paper peels off and you stick the photo in there. Well, I put feathers in there too, to protect them. And I have all different colors. And I could never use all of my feathers. So that's why you get two. And you know who you are, because this book is already taken. Here's another envelope. And I love these little shell buttons. Just a piece of eyelet lace and a piece of another kind of lace. And behind there, you can't take it out, but it's a letter. And it's just glued in there on top of, I think that was a table scarf, dresser scarf. And this is just another place you can journal. And I think I have the stamp. I need to get it back out because it's really pretty. But I did this a couple years ago. And turned out really nice. Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's a digital. I don't know. I don't remember. So that goes in there. I'll put it in later. Okay. Okay. Then I found this in a book. Excursion a bicyclette. Have no idea how to say that, but I know what it means. It means an excursion on a bicycle. That's what I know. And you know, they're sisters. And here's the town right here. Here's a pretty tree. And this is a pocket as well. It's another newspaper. And this is a digital. I have no idea what it says because it's in French. I like how this one turned out. And this is my last tag, and I used some bling on this one. Turned out so pretty. I just kind of looped that around there. I think, yeah, this is the other, this is the bottom of that envelope. So this is there's the circle underneath there of that closure on that envelope. Some pretty blue and ivory lace. Seam binding. I have very, very little of this lace right here. It's got beads on it. So I use that sparingly. And this is a book page. Something about poets. And I looked it up, but I don't remember what that means. But it's good. It's nothing bad. They're cute. Back. And this is these are just for storage, and I used some scrap paper, and these are negatives So there you got your little sisters right there. You see them? And then there's a trio. I bet they're triplets. Sorry for the glare. And I just used different scraps of paper. And here's a pocket. And then I just love her. Just something to write on. And a piece of blue parchment stationery. Very pretty paper. And a couple of old French books, and they're kind of fragile, so I'm not gonna pull them out. And this is just an index card that I tea stained. So a little extra writing there with some butterflies, and I showed these butterflies in a previous video. They are backed with what's the name of that? You know, holy moly, what's the name of that? You guys help me out. Help me out here. What's the name of this stuff? I'll think of it in a minute. It drives me nuts. And then there is the back. And I left this back one empty, and I thought maybe the new owner could add whatever they wanted to add to this, or leave it blank, because it sure is pretty. And I love this heart. This was a doily. It had several of these hearts going around it, and I stained it with that blue, and it's just, I love it. And that is sewn on there. And then this is chiffon ribbon, or actually it's rayon, very soft ribbon that I sewed together. And it's a pocket. And I love these keys. This is a luggage key. And there's initials on there on both sides. And I think it's the name of the company. Just really pretty. The end. So that is Sweet Sister, and I know it took a long time for me to get this video done, and it's just because of my silly cough, and I don't think I coughed a single time today. So I apologize for it taking a few days to get it done, a little longer than I said it would be. But so that is that. I did mention on Facebook that I was going to be starting a new journal, and I posted on Facebook that I was pretty much 90% sure that I was going to do a grungy bee themed, and now I'm like 95% sure. I'm not quite there yet. I'm thinking on it, and I've got a couple of, I've got this one thing. I've had it for about 6 months, and it's going to go on the outside, the front of the journal, and it was like one of those things that you find and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I found this. And I I snatched it up, and it was a pretty good price, but I snatched it up because I knew that it would just be the perfect thing to go on the front of a journal. And it's a bee journal, and that's all I'm going to tell you. And I'm pretty sure, and the only thing keeping me from, and I'll probably do it, but the only thing that is got me swaying to another type journal is because I got this beautiful color seam binding in. It's called Blue Danube, Blue Danube. And it's a gorgeous color, and I forgot to bring it in here, but it's a vintage seam binding. And things like that, when you come across, when you get something or you see something, you go through your laces or your doilies or your digitals or your books, your ledgers, something will spark some creativity in you and inspire you. And I'm very much into the blues. I love pinks and I love blues, but I'm very drawn towards that color. And I pulled out a bunch of fabrics this morning to do a blue journal, and then I said, no. I said I was going to do a bee journal, and I've been wanting to do another one. So I am now at 92%, 93% that I'm going to do a bee journal. So that's going to take me a while. And if I come across anything, I'm trying to get better about doing process videos. And if I come across anything while I'm gathering for the next journal, or I'm doing something that I feel like I can halfway decently show you, then I will film it. I'm starting to feel a little more comfortable doing it and not so nervous. And so the best way to find out about that is on Facebook. Just become a friend on Facebook. And I think I keep wanting to mention this. I love getting friend requests on Facebook, but this whole hacking thing, I don't know what all that is. And you would think with today's technology that they could get that all figured out with people's accounts being hacked. And so when I do get a friend request, one of the things that I look for before I accept the friend request is just if they have a profile picture and if they have any recent posts. And if it's a variety of posts and not just your profile cover photo change. Because quite a few of my friends have been hacked, and I always go and look and kind of make sure that that I'm not going to be hacked. And so I get requests, and if there's no picture, I want to apologize. I usually don't accept those because it makes me feel uneasy. And so drop me a line on the Facebook Messenger saying, hey, I just sent you a request and it's legit. And, I'll be more than happy to. And that's the best way to find out what my next journal is going to be, because I usually post pictures along the way, and I belong to several groups, but in these groups you're limited to what you can and cannot post. And usually you cannot post anything to do with YouTube or Etsy. Sometimes on certain days you can, but just to be on the safe side, I usually don't, unless I'm 100% sure that it's okay. So usually the best way to find out is that way on my Facebook. So I hope you enjoyed this little video. I absolutely love this journal. I think it's my favorite in this shabby style with the wrap. Very happy with her, and I hope the new owner will be as well. And I guess that's it. I will see you next time. Bye.